Welcome to another episode of Eat, Smoke, Drink. Something a bit interesting today. Yes, I am going to take you through Glenfiddichs today. Yeah, I know, it's disgusting. No, I'm kidding. Look, today I'm going to take you through two Glenfiddichs, and I'll tell you why. The Glenfiddich 12 wasn't always around, and before the Glenfiddich 12 was actually the Special Reserve single malt, matured and bottled by William Grant and Sons. So this was the old Glenfiddich, and then in time it changed. The bottle changed and the expression changed, and then today this is the very latest release, new label and everything we have today, the modern expression today. So both, what percentage is this? I don't even know. Let me just have a look. Well, 43%. So this is 43% and this is 40% of modern expression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the two different whiskies, and I'm using my butt plug glass to get the maximum nosing ability. And like I said, you know, Glenfiddich 12, it's not something I would normally buy, but the other night we had a session and we decided let's do this to try and see what it is like. The color of Glenfiddich, of the modern expression, is a little darker. Now, I don't know if it actually is colored artificially. Let's have a look. Look, it doesn't say anything about being color free. So I will presume there is color in that. Okay, so I will presume that it's chill filtered and colored, unless it says that it's not. Right. So no, it doesn't say anything. So I'll presume that it's colored. So the color, you can put that up your ass because it is bullshit. Okay, so let's get nosing on the both anyway. This is from the 90s. This is from the 90s, I think 1992 or something like that, which means that is about 30 years. 30 years. 3 decades apart. Original Glenfiddich versus, well, not original, but versus the modern take. Let's get nosing. Whew. Wow. What's insane about this exercise is that the consistency of Glenfiddich is still very much there. Like, you can... The nose on the 12 is much sweeter, much more intense. Now, this is a no age statement, but this one has a fieriness to it, a slight coal smoke. That could be from the old bottle effect that we all debate about, which is basically over decades, the bottle starts to leach and influence the whiskey. Some people say that's not possible, but some people say, well, why is it not possible? You know? So this definitely has a slightly more minerally, smoky, coal smoke flavor, okay? Whilst this does not at all. This is sweet, condensed syrup, brown sugar, a little bit of butter, while this one is a little bit more rugged, coal smoke, hot stone. Apricot, a little bit of grilled nectarine, just a very, very faint hint of grilled nectarine, a slight herbaceousness, licorice. This one, sickly sweet coconut, sugary. I'm not even sure if it has bourbon. Sorry, I don't read this stuff. You see it? Yeah, okay, mature in Oloroso and bourbon. Sorry. So yes, I can get that bourbon cask in there. That sickly coconut, sickly sweet, vanillin. Now I'm sure this one has bourbon cask too, but it's not as prominent. The second one is much more fragrant on the nose. This one is less fragrant, but more minerally, a slight earthiness, smokiness, a slight smokiness, okay? Let's sip, let's sip. The 12 is significantly sweeter. Definitely sweeter, much sweeter, whilst this one here is more citrus forward and a little bit more fiery. The 3%, yes, can do that, but not a huge amount. I think it's the style, maybe it's a slightly younger whiskey, but this is more definitely mineral, steely, slight smokiness, hotter. This one, condense, sugars, burnt sugar, brown sugar. I mean, that's a very interesting experiment. This is much more palatable. So the 12 is much more palatable, extremely palatable actually, versus the 1990s Glenfiddich, which interests me because it shows you the kind of palate people had at the time. Why would they make something that is less palatable to now? Maybe the mass market then was different to today. And I think it reflects to what people drink today. People want something smooth, you know, and it's so smooth. And it's like, yeah, well, you're going to get smooth with this, right? And this one here is certainly not as smooth. They're both very smooth, don't get me wrong, but this is not as smooth as this. Now, if I was to pick which one I like, funny enough, I would actually pick, for palatability, I would pick the Glenfiddich 12. I'll tell you why. Because neither of them are actually very interesting. I mean, and there's a trigger warning here. Glenfiddich 12 and Glenfiddich as a whiskey is boring as shit, right? They're boring as shit. Even the best ones I've ever had, top end stuff, they are generic and boring. Generic and boring. The difference is really, you know, I guess you got to ask yourself, if you're, you know, do you want to drink whiskey? Do you want to appreciate whiskey? These are drinking whiskey. This is the kind of whiskey you buy. You put on a table, you eat it with whatever you want, you don't really care. Maybe you put some ice, you put some water in there, and you just drink the shit out of it, and you finish it, and you kill it. Easy to drink. That's fine. That's a great purpose. This one is slightly more interesting, but it's still not really that interesting. I mean, they're both actually so close on the nose. The main difference is this is so much sweeter than this. This is so much more palatable than this. This is so much more quaffable than this one. This one is a little rough around the edges, okay? So I guess, yeah, I mean, my thing is, would I buy these again? I mean, I don't really buy Glenfiddich, you know that. I don't buy Glenfiddich. If I got like an opportunity to buy a very old release Glenfiddich, I'll do it like this for shits and giggles because it's interesting, but to compare them. But it's not something that I would gravitate towards because, one, the price isn't that cheap for Glenfiddich. Not anymore. With the new inflated whiskey and global prices. It's just not conducive to an interesting experience, you know? It's like, I guess you got to ask yourself a question, you know, would you rather go and have McDonald's, or would you rather have a burger from a nice cafe or restaurant, or a handmade burger place, you know, somewhere that does burgers as a feature on their menu that isn't just mass-produced fast food? Or it could be mass-produced, but just a little bit upper tier. And this is really what I'm talking about. Glenfiddich to me is a McDonald's. Glenfiddich to me is the Starbucks of whiskey, right? Starbucks, it'll do. It'll do. But let's face it, Starbucks is shit. Okay, it's shit. I hate Starbucks. And I think it's one of those things is that I'd rather go somewhere else. And it's not like Starbucks is cheap either. You go most places around the world, Starbucks is probably the most expensive, except for Turkey, you know, and I don't understand. I don't understand why people gravitate towards Starbucks. And it's just the same thing with Glenfiddich, you know. You'll get people buying Glenfiddich 15, 18, and they're not bad whiskies. but they're not good and exciting whiskies either. They're boring as hell. So I guess, yeah, I mean, this is my take on it. Like, and I'd love your feedback. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to really, I don't understand why no one bottles single barrel, independently bottled Glenfiddich. I reckon Glenfiddich, single barrel, independently bottled, would be so phenomenal. Because the backbone is clearly there, right? It's mass produced, but in a good way as well. The backbone is there, but they blend it to the point where it loses all of its characters, you know? It's like it's perfection, but not perfection. They want to make it so it's so palatable. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like a woman that just has too much plastic surgery. It's like, how much more blending can you do to remove the natural character of that person? It's like, sometimes the imperfection is the perfection. And that's my problem with these kind of bottlings. But anyway, thank you for listening to my rant. I'm here all week. I should really have a couch and lie down. You're like my, you're like my confession / shrink. Anyway, until next time, make sure you eat, smoke, drink, and let me know your thoughts. What are your thoughts? Have you tried these old expressions before? Let me know your thoughts. Cheers.